So you showed me some really, really good impromptu speeches. I was impressed. I'm impressed that this is working out as well as it is, this online class. So make this next speech, I'm looking at the syllabus, your culture speech, as impressive as some of your impromptu speeches and your success speeches too. Some of them were really, really positive. Some were funny as heck. And some were quite serious. So here we go with the culture speech, and what I'm after in this is, what is your culture? Don't give me the stuff that I've heard before. If your culture is Mexican American, or if you are from Mexico, I don't want to hear about Day of the Dead, because I've heard of that. I've heard it many, many speeches. And if you're from Vietnam, or if you're from China, don't give me Chinese New Year or Vietnamese New Year, because I've heard those speeches. Find something that is really fascinating that maybe you think I have not heard about. For example, my culture alone. I was born and raised in the United States, so my culture is the United States, and there are a lot of different cultures in the United States. And in my culture itself, my family itself, why I can easily find, because in this one you have to have people from respected thinkers from newspapers, news magazines, and books who are going to say something about your culture, okay? And my culture is, I have a little bit of Native American in me from the Cherokees. I can trace them all the way back to a lesser ice age up in the Great Lakes area, down into the North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And then when they were kicked out of Georgia by President Andy Jackson, and they had the Trail of Tears all the way 800 miles, they marched. A lot of young kids, babies, mothers, older people died on that march. And they ended up in Oklahoma Territory. That's what Andy Jackson promised them, okay? Civil War came around, and this is all my personal culture, okay? My family culture. Civil War comes around, and my family in Iowa fought against my relatives, the Cherokees, in one of the battles in Arkansas, Pease Ridge. Okay, my great-grandfather was captain in the 3rd Regiment of Iowa, and he was shooting down on the Cherokees, they were promised by the Confederacy to they could have their slaves, because they had slaves. If they won, the Confederates won, they could keep their slaves. Well, of course, the Cherokees hated the Union because of what Andy Jackson did, and so they fought on the Confederate side. And so my great-grandfather had a cannon on with the 3rd Regiment on top of Pease Ridge, and shot down onto this huge field at Pease Ridge. And the Native Americans had never seen cannons before, and didn't know what it was when the canister bounced around them, and so they circled it to see what it was, and then it blew up and it killed them. And then my great-grandfather told this to my father and my uncle when they were tiny little kids. He told them the story of that, okay? So that's my history, if you want to take it, like that, family. Or your culture. What is your culture? Your culture may be a gaming culture. Your culture may be video culture. But get away from things like I said, Day of the Dead or a Chinese New Year. What is your culture? And then find some research on it. And you have to have at least 2, if you look at your syllabus, you have to have opinions from at least 2, you can have more if you want, from respected thinkers, from newspapers, news magazines, and books, okay? What do they say of your culture? Every civilization has a fascinating culture, and that's what makes us unique in history, okay, and prehistory. It makes all of us extremely different in the way, you know, bears are always going to be bears, and wolves are always going to be wolves, and coyotes and all of that. But what makes us different is that we have this brain that we a real sharp thinking brain that can either make our lives beautiful or make our lives extremely horrible. And so this is what I want all of you to do is, you know, find out you have only 3 minutes on this speech, only 3 minutes. Don't go over 3 minutes. Find out about a culture, your culture, that is different than anything that maybe I have heard of before. You only have 3 minutes though. Make sure it's not less than 2.5 minutes. Check your videos for time. Make sure it's not less than 2.5 and not more than 3. And then you have to have at least 2 opinions from respected thinkers. Look at your syllabus and fascinate us with your culture. Okay? And then that is look at the assignments in Canvas, and that will tell you when your due date is. And don't procrastinate on these last 2 speeches, because once the semester ends, and I'm going to go into the persuasive speech a little bit, once the semester ends, I'm only going to have a few days to turn your grades in. And so you want to make sure you don't wait until the last day to do this speech, and the same way with your persuasive speech. Because if you do, then it holds up the whole class. I cannot turn in your grades until the whole class has given its speeches, okay? And then I can turn them in. And of course, the last day, if you look at your assignments for your persuasive speech, I think it is it's on a Friday. I think it's June the 5th, okay? Don't wait until it's June the 5th or June the 6th. Don't wait until that day to get your speeches done, okay? Get them done. Your culture speech, it is due on April, what, 15th, something like that, 16th. And then you have about a week to make sure you get it in. And get them in by that time, because some of you love to procrastinate. Do not procrastinate on these. Get them in, because the minute that that final day, which is a Friday on June the 5th or 6th, when it comes up, why, you're not going to have a chance to turn it in after that day, because I'm going to be turning in grades, okay? And if I have all of your speeches, I should, I better have, otherwise you're not going to like your grades. Because on that final day, you cannot turn in a speech late, and you cannot turn in or have a redo on your speeches. Right now you can redo your speeches. And you can only redo one, but you can redo one if that's going to help your grade, okay? And I'll go over the grades with you. You know, just contact me if you want to redo a speech. And I'll see if it's going to help you with your grade. Otherwise, you know, just get these last 2 speeches in, get them in on time, so that when that final day comes, like I say, it's June the 5th or June the 6th, when it comes, that's the cutoff. You can't turn in anything after that day. And then I will get all of your grades in. And so if you're missing a speech, well, then remember, your grade goes down. Look at the syllabus. Your grade goes down by 1 grade. So if you deserve an A, you'll get a B. If you haven't turned in an outline, come on. I'm giving you a chance to turn in things now. But don't wait. Don't wait. Okay, so now I've scolded you all. All right, so that's the culture speech that's coming up. Let's see, is there anything else? Opinions? Oh yeah, and then use your opinions on this. What do you think of your culture? Do you like your culture? Some people don't like their culture. I'm really proud of mine, but I'm also embarrassed of mine because of what part of me back in the olden times, what they did to Native Americans, and then part of me is quite proud of all of the accomplishments that both sides of my family had. So, you know, give your opinions, and it's only a 3-minute speech, so it's going to go fast. Make sure you have a good intro, good conclusion, and give me your opinions, and then give me opinions from other sources. It has to be at least 2 on what they think of your culture. Okay? And let's see, I think I've covered everything. And then if oh yeah, the speech, well, I just said that. Speech is 2.5 to 3 minutes long. No outline is required for that. If you want to use visual aids can be quite fascinating for this because it's cultural speech. And I have a lot of pictures of my culture. And then make sure that you hold them up close to the camera when you are if you're using visual aids. Some of your speeches that you've given, your success speeches, you used visual aids and they were quite effective and they did help you grade. So if you think that visual aids will help you grade on this culture speech, well then bring them in close, okay? Now let's go on to the persuasive speech, just a little bit. You have to have 3 facts, okay? And the way you're going to turn them in is going to be a little bit different now because you can't physically turn them in. And I will go over that with you in about a week once I get the next video ready for your persuasive speech. But remember, for your persuasive speech, you have to have those 3 facts. And then you have to have your own opinions and those facts to back up your arguments in a persuasive speech. Okay? Your opinions and those facts. And again, that persuasive speech has to be 3 minutes long. No more 5-minute speeches. So make sure that you're cutting off at 3 minutes. Check the time. 2.5 to 3 minutes of arguing your point. And if it's not a persuasive speech, because these are the things I'll be grading on, and I'll go over it again with you, but I'll be grading on, do you have your 3 facts? Okay? I'll go over that again later in the other video. Do you have your 3 facts? Is it persuasive or is it just an informative speech? And so it has to be persuasive from top to end. From beginning to end. You have to say, it's really important in our country to vote. It is so important that you get out there. And if you don't think it's important, then you deserve what you get in the elected officials. Come on, we still have mostly in California just white males, okay, who are our elected officials. And the demographics are mainly Latinos in California and a lot of Asians. So what's happening with you 2 groups, you're not getting out there and voting. So get out there and vote. Make your vote count. 1 vote can really be a difference. And so that's a little bit of my persuasive speech, and I'm starting it off right away, trying to convince you to get out and vote. And I will keep arguing that all the way through. For, I've been arguing, I look at the clock right here that I have in front of me, I've argued for about a minute on that voting. Okay, and you argue all the way through your speech to the end. And if you don't do that, then it becomes just another informative speech and you won't like your grade. Okay? But I'll go over all of that later when I send the video on the persuasive speech. But I wanted to make sure that you started looking now, look now for a really good persuasive argument. Okay, don't wait, because if you wait too long, that's why I'm doing this now. If you wait too long, why, it might be too late, and then you're going to find out you have to rush, and then it isn't a persuasive speech, it's more informative. Okay? Let's see what else that I can talk to you about right now. And just go to your syllabus for this. It has to be 3 different reputable sources. You cannot use 3 from the LA Times. It has to be 1 from New Orleans Picayune, 1 from the Sacramento Bee, 1 from the LA Times, something like that. Okay, but it cannot be 3 from the same source. Okay, and then I'll talk to you about how you are going to get those sources to me. And then your opinions, and then again, it's only 3 minutes long. Okay, no outline is required. If you want to use visual aids, you may. Okay, But again, visual aids on these last two speeches, if they help, then they'll help your grade. If they don't help, I'm not going to grade on them. Okay? And then on the time that you're going to be giving your speech, you have to turn in your research. But again, I will say, when you do your speech, you'll be turning it in then, on a link. You'll turn in your research so I can go over it real fast. Okay? So I think that explains it fairly well, your culture speech and this persuasive speech. And if you have any questions, well, feel free to either text me or call me or email me, and make sure that when you do, you tell me your complete name, which class you were in, and let me see, email. When you email me, oh yeah, make sure when you email me at my personal email, which is athatl@yahoo.com. Okay, so have fun with this culture speech. I'm really looking forward to it because I've enjoyed these last few speeches from you. All right, talk to you later. Bye.